As you guys have seen, I've taken the past few weeks to recover and to reflect. There are multiple things that I should have done better on and things that I should have been much more careful on. I was inexperienced in interviewing someone, and I should not have opened up my interviewing career with someone as controversial as Josh. I should have started with people not nearly as controversial. In that regard, I apologize for taking such an extreme interview right out of the gate. The next thing I want to apologize for was how I acted during the interview. I was way too lax. Many times it felt more like a podcast than an actual interview. I was way too laid back and friendly with Josh, where I should have been more critical in my questions, and I should have been much more aggressive. And also, it was not the time to be cracking jokes. One thing I want to especially apologize for was that neon joke that I made, and the adding of the transition for comedic effect.
No one likes to get raped, but
unless it's Nayan. I make no excuse for that. That was completely unexcusable, out of line, inappropriate. I should not have made that joke in a situation as serious as an interview, not to mention interviewing someone like Josh. For that, I apologize. I should not have made that joke, nor should I have put that transition in there. I also should have kept the interview more on topic. I apologize for not being as professional as I should have been when I conducted this interview. Doing the interview at all at this point in time was something I should have contemplated more on before actually doing it. This was a drastic thing to do. No matter how right or wrong I was, everyone can agree that what I did was pretty extreme, to say the least. I knew that interviewing him was very controversial, but now I know that when I tackle such controversial topics, I gotta be much more cautious about what I say and what I do. And I have to be much more careful in regards to my wording. I can't be as lax as I normally am. With these types of videos, I should always expect some type of backlash. That was another mistake I did. I did not expect that much heat when I originally put out this interview. That being said, with all the things I've done wrong and everything I've fell short on, I've decided I will not be deleting that video. I'm not excusing for what I've done. I've messed up on a lot of things. But with all the unnecessary, hateful, spiteful, disgusting things that have been said at me, that is highly uncalled for. I have received so many hateful comments on YouTube, Twitter, even on my email and Instagram. I've gotten death threats. I've gotten threats to my own family. I've gotten people wishing that I get stalked myself, all in the name of protecting Nayan. How are you any better than Josh? Why would you ever think sending me such hateful comments is a good thing? How is that protecting anyone? All you're doing is hurting others, trying to make someone else's life miserable, and putting it all in the name of justice. Get the hell out of here with that bull crap. How dare you mask your immature, horrible behavior in the name of something honorable? If Nayan sees how hateful her fans are being and how much despair they wish on them, do you think she would like that? Do you really think she would like that? If ever in the future a fan of mine dare say something like that to someone else in the name of protecting me, I'd throw up. You're getting mad at me for interviewing someone who has sent death threats to Nayan. So the way you fight me is to also send death threats to me. You are doing the exact same thing you are criticizing Josh for. And it boggles my mind to how you can't even see your own hypocrisy. Maybe before I might have considered deleting it, but at this point in time, I'm not deleting it. That video is staying up. However, to meet in the middle, what I will be doing is I will be putting the video unlisted. That way, the video won't be showing up in any search bars, but if anyone wants to see it, they can always ask me for a link. Throughout all the comments I've read and seen, not to mention having people close to me tell me how they felt about the video, I want to lastly address the criticisms that have surfaced against me since the interview came out. There are 3 reasons that I've found. Number 1 is I'm doing this for views. This is probably the dumbest argument I've ever seen people make at me. First off, the damn interview isn't even monetized. So even if I got, say, 5 million views on this, I wouldn't get a single cent from it. Second off, why the hell would I even do an interview if all I wanted was views? If all I was really doing was fishing for views, I would just outright make a support video for Josh. I'm sure that would get much more attention than this video already did. Also, do you know how much of a waste of time an interview would be if my number 1 priority was to just get views? Why would I waste my time sitting 3 hours talking to Josh, not to mention spending more than 6 hours making an entire script for that interview? This is a completely baseless claim that has no ground and is completely immature to argue at me. The reason why I even did this interview was to get questions that I had about Josh that weren't getting answered answered. I wanted information. And by filming an interview, you guys could also get that information. I can't believe I'm saying this for the nth time. I do not support anything Josh does. I want him to get mental help as soon as possible. The entire interview was for pure information. But unfortunately nowadays, you can't even give out information without it having some sort of agenda on it. The second reason I've been seeing is I'm giving Josh a platform to speak for himself. Yeah. I asked him questions and I wanted him to answer it. I failed to see why this is such a horrible thing. Just like how suspects are allowed to speak for themselves in court or in a law environment. And before you come at me saying I don't have a degree in law or psychology, so I can't be doing the same thing. So you can only be fair to someone if you have a degree. If I don't have a degree, you can be as unfair as you want. You can censor as much information as you please. Delete everything that you don't like just because I don't have a degree. How about being fair to anyone and everyone? And how about giving everyone a chance to speak for themselves? What does it matter if I gave him a platform to speak for himself? He made himself look bad anyway. That's what you guys wanted, right? For him to look bad? This is another ridiculous claim that people have made at me. Just because someone is bad, it doesn't give you the right to take away their right to speak. That's not justice. That's censorship. And that's wrong. The third and last criticism people have been making at me is the timing for this interview was bad. This is actually the one criticism that I agree with. The way my friend told me his view about this was actually very interesting. He argued that yes, criminals should be given the right to speak for themselves, but in a restrained state. Josh was still out and about in the world and not in custody. It would have been better to wait until Josh gets into custody or once he finally realizes his mistake. I completely agree with this line of reasoning. Timing-wise, this was not the best time to put out a Josh1994 interview. Ideally, I should have waited until he gets better and sees the error of his ways, or if other people are interviewing him as well. The problem was, with both of those things, they weren't going to happen. Unless Josh finally gets off his high horse and decides to get some kind of rehab, I don't see him ever changing his mind on Nyan. He even told me himself that he's never going to change his mind. Take this as someone who has actually talked with Josh personally. I don't think he's going to change unless he gets some serious mental help or he gets some serious heavy shock therapy. Listen, guys, I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. And if things happen that are genuinely my fault, I'm going to apologize for them, and I'm going to work to improve. I'm not going to play the victim card and go, oh, woe is me, when there were clearly things that I should have done better. But I'm not going to sit here and take all the unnecessary hate you guys give me in the name of some bullshit justice. I've decided to meet in the middle and unlist my interview, and I'm going to continue streaming, posting videos on this channel like I've always done, whether you like it or not. The world's not going to wait for me to get better. I've taken the time to brush myself off. I've made peace with what I've done, and it's time for me to move forward.